Hey there everybody, welcome to another Fwoosh video review. Today we're taking a look at the complete, fully assembled Hasbro Transformers Combiner Wars Menasor figure. Menasor, of course, being the combined form of all 6 Stunticons that were recently released. So we've got Drag Strip, we've got Dead End, we've got Breakdown, we've got Breakneck, aka Wild Rider, Motormaster, and Blackjack. So this is Menasor all fully assembled, and I mean, the proportions are a little iffy, and he's not the most stable figure in the world, but I think it's pretty darn cool that we've got a Menasor this large as a retail offering. And by this large, I mean he's larger than a leader class figure, or at least a modern leader class figure. So here he is with Jetfire. Let's see if I can get a better side by side here. And he does, oh god, he's getting wobbly. There we go. Holy cow, that was stressful. So he is larger than Jetfire. He's larger than the standard modern leader class figure. So he is a sizable figure. Of course, he's made up of one Voyager class figure, which is Motormaster. Oh god, let's see if I can just get him more stable here. Gah, that's my chief complaint with him. He's just not very sturdy. He feels very delicate, very fragile, like he could topple over at any second. In my display in my shelf, I definitely have him leaning on something because I just don't trust gravity around this guy. But I mean, he looks pretty cool. The colors are there. The proportions are a little odd. His torso is very squat, while his legs appear very long. His arms kind of appear kind of long too. I mean, it almost kind of sort of gives him a kind of a gorilla look, but not really. I mean, I just don't know. Let's see if we can get a close-up on the face sculpt here, because Hasbro did a really good job here. Menasor looks appropriately mean and angry and all the good things that a Decepticon warrior should look like. I remember the original Menasor from the 80s, from 85 or whatever, just had such a placid, kind of neutral look, but this guy looks like he wants to wreck some stuff, so that's cool. And the head is on, looks like a ball joint, so there's a good range of motion there for the head. The original Menasor had 0 head articulation, so that's kind of cool. The only other thing that you need to be on the lookout for is Blackjack here does not like to stay in place. These pegs right here are kind of too small for him. Whoa, now his balance is a lot. I'm going to lean him here. Okay. So those pegs here and here are too small for the holes on the underside of Blackjack. So I've had to kind of reinforce them with some museum putty. Let me get this in focus. Yeah, I just stuffed some museum putty in the peg holes, and that helps them stay on. Otherwise, he just falls right off at every opportunity. I mean, I guess you could just close that up and it almost looks as good. Oop, let me get that in focus here. That would help too, huh? I mean, that doesn't look terrible with that closed, but I think it just looks cooler with Blackjack in place. So let me get him back on here. There we go. Yeah, without the museum putty, Blackjack would not stay on there. Gravity would be throwing him all over the place. Now, again, he's not the most stable thing in the world, but he actually does have some articulation here. So the arms are ratcheted, but what's annoying here though is when I move the arms, like this whole piece comes undone. Like it just doesn't lock in place that well. So I find I have to pinch it if I'm gonna move the arms at all. But I mean, they've got a decent range of motion, and depending on how you position the arms, he can have elbows too. Oh my god, he's doing the splits. Okay. So I mean, that's kind of cool, and it's the same with Drag Strip over here, the same kind of arm articulation. And there is some outward motion too. Oh, there goes the shoulder falling apart on me again. So it looks, I mean, it's functional enough. Again, not super steady. With like how wide these thighs are, you'd think that he would be just totally stable, but he just so totally isn't. Now for leg articulation, I mean, he's got ratcheted hip joints. He does get a bend in the knee because of where the combiner figures do plug in, but you can't really pose him anyway because he doesn't have any ankle articulation, and any kind of action pose, I mean, the hips just aren't going to support him. The hips just are not sturdy enough. So, I mean, just like the G1 Motormaster, you might be relegated to something of a neutral vanilla pose. I mean, what I have right here is more dynamic than like I've ever had him and have him keep standing, so there's that. So, I mean, this is put together here with the classic configuration because we've got Wild Rider in place. But there is also the option of replacing Wild Rider with Off-Road. So why don't we try that real quick. I haven't even given this a test drive. Test drive, I didn't even mean that pun. But yeah, let's give this a shot and hope this doesn't go badly. So the limbs can be swapped in and out fairly easily. Famous last words. Okay. Wait. No. Naturally. Okay, there we go. I think I got it. Okay. That was stressful. I found that to be stressful. But there he is with Off-Road as his right leg rather than Breakneck, aka Wild Rider. So, and you can see side by side here in terms of colors, like they're pretty much identical. Again, like I'm not sure what the story here is. I don't know what Off-Road's relation to Wild Rider is, but I think it's kind of interesting that their colors are just about identical. So it's apples and oranges who you go with for his leg. And I keep saying leg, I mean they can be arms too, but this is the classic Menasor configuration, so that's what I'm sticking with. So it's apples and oranges who you use for his leg. I know Breakneck here, or Wild Rider, whatever you want to call him, is a little bit more difficult to acquire. He's an exclusive. I didn't even know that when I did the review, but yeah, apparently he's an exclusive. So Off-Road may be the easier option, and Off-Road is totally fine. I mean, on the shelf, unless you were actively conscious that that is not Wild Rider, serves the same purpose. It's the same colors, so good enough. And he can hold the giant Motormaster sword in his hands somehow. It's not a snug fit, but it can work. So, you know, Menasor has some kind of weapon. So of the Combiner Wars combiners, Menasor is the only one I currently own. I've seen pictures of Superion, and Superion looks pretty awesome, and it's looking like Defensor might be equally awesome. But Menasor, God, like, I really want to love him, and I mostly do. I mostly love him, but it's just, you know, stability issues, and he's not something that you're going to play with, quote unquote, because he's just not stable enough. The original G1 Menasor was a brick that you could play with all day long, and it was fine. This guy is definitely meant for display purposes more than anything, which is totally fine by me, because I'm going to be using him for display purposes. So I think he's really cool. He was always one of my favorite combiners. I love the Stunticon team. So I'm really stoked to have this guy. And I think for like a standard level brick and mortar retail level combiner set, this really is not bad at all. Not bad. I'm really impressed Hasbro was able to do what they did here. I totally like him, and I like him enough that I may be in for another combiner set or two. We'll see. I'm really choosy with the combiner teams. So far Menasor was my only must-have, but we'll see what happens soon. Anyway, that is Menasor combined with all the Stunticons, or all the Stunticons combined to form Menasor, as it were. So let us know what you think about this big galoot here. Leave a comment below. Check us out on our message board, social media, all that good stuff. And as always, thank you for watching us here on The Foosh, and we will see you again really soon. Thank you.